people are aware of what happens is when that particular item comes up, the officers will introduce it. Following on from that, the speakers, as listed, will have their chance. Under the Constitution, you're allowed 3 minutes. Once the egg timer goes off after 3 minutes, I will stop you from speaking. However, there is an opportunity then for members to seek any points of clarification, but only from what you've already said. Following on from that, the officers may want to add anything else, and then it will be for the committee to debate the matter and make a decision, and hopefully that decision will be today. I say hopefully, it isn't always, most times it is, but not always. Sometimes we defer items for site visits. We've had 2 site visits today before the meeting, or getting perhaps further information, things like that. Right, okay then, takes us on to item number 1, which was our first site visit, which was rear of Newtown Road West. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, we do that normally, yeah. Thank you. My apologies, we do take the ones with speakers first, yeah. So we go on to item number 3, which is the Long Shoot and the Eaton.
This application is an outline for residential development of up to 150 dwellings with public open space, landscaping, infrastructure and parking on land rear of 130 to 194 The Long Shoot. Access into the site is being considered at this time, but all other matters of layout, scale, appearance and landscaping are to be considered at a later stage. The application has been previously considered and recommended to be approved at committee in September last year, subject to the completion of a legal agreement following further negotiation on 2 matters, which were a dual cycle path and a contribution to the NHS. A resolution has since been reached on these matters, which will now be discussed. The key issues have previously been considered on this site and are set out in the agenda. The only one of these matters that has changed since the application was last reported to committee is the obligations. Following the committee recommendation of approval last year, negotiations continued. An offer was made by the agent to both the NHS and Warwickshire County Council towards the cycle path. Both of these offers, however, were rejected by the relevant bodies. The council concluded that these requests were not still compliant anyhow, due to the lack of evidence costs and current adopted policy to allow these requests to be made. Therefore, the application was returned to committee with a recommendation to remove these requests from the legal agreement. Committee decided to defer the application for further negotiation to take place on these 2 matters. The agent made a further in-kind offer matching the previously rejected offers. Warwickshire County Council have since agreed to accept this offer and concede that they do not have the relevant evidence to request a greater amount. The agent has since offered the full NHS contribution. Therefore, the recommendation is to grant planning permission subject to the conditions and the Section 106 agreement as printed on the agenda and addendum.
Thank you. First speaker is Councillor Conley.
Thank you very much, Chair. It's nice the sun's come out, and it's really good news that we've got the NHS contribution. That £33,000 is really needed so that all the contributions from all the housing developments we might get can eventually mean we get a second GP surgery on our side of the Leicester Road Bridge. Our side of the Leicester Road Bridge only has 1 GP surgery. It can probably cope with 9,000 people, 10,000 households. We're going to have another 1,000 households added at least. And if the borough plan goes its way, maybe 3,000, 3,500, who knows. So it's really welcome we are actually getting something towards the NHS. Cycling contributions, absolutely essential. The amount of traffic around Eastborough Way, down into town, the air quality issues, we actually need a lot more than this, but at least it's not zero now. Cycling down the Eastborough Way is lethal in the rush hour now, more and more traffic. We actually need to build a cycle network, not just these little bits, but at least it's a start. But I do still come back to item 1 on the needs and housing supply in your paperwork, which is on page 40. We have probably approved about 1,000 homes over Wellington St Nicholas. Currently, it looks like 20 have been sold, about 20 have been reserved. So even in a good year, we might sell 100 homes once they all get built. That means we've already got approved around 10 years worth of house building. So actually approving this £45 million worth of houses, this another 150, won't add to how many get built in our part of town. Because as I say, you've approved about 1,000, you and the planning inspector. We have a limit to how many will sell in one particular part of town. Maybe 100 a year, I say. They've sold 20 so far on the 3 sites that have been developed. So I do not see that we have to bring this forward and approve it now, because it can in no way add to the 5-year house supply, because physically they won't build 7 housing estates at one time. They might build 2, 3, 4. The more of these applications are built simultaneously, the less each particular one will sell, and the more the blight will last. So we do not need to rush forward and approve yet another application, none of which may even get built within the 5 years. And even if any of it does, it will only slow up the rate on the other 6 approved planning applications. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Are there any points of clarification? No? Owen Wayne? No? Nothing to come back on? Over to members and just the formalities of it. Can I move the recommendation as printed? Is that seconded?
Yes. Yes.
Open to members. Any member? Councillor Phillips?
Yeah, just to say that I'm really pleased. It's good to talk, because there was a situation whereby the developer could have quite justifiably turned down the job money and the NHS money, but further negotiation, the developer has come forward and put that money forward, so I'm pleased.
Thank you. Councillor London?
Thank you. It's really some clarification from officers. Under the NHS part, could you tell me what they mean by in kind? Are they not going to hand over the money? They're going to do some work for them, are they?
No, it means it's because the council, but the officer's opinion is that the request being asked for isn't compliant with the SIL regulations. However, the developer is still prepared to pay the money that the NHS are asking for.
But it doesn't say that. It says the full NHS contribution is offered in kind. Now, to me, that means it's not cash or something else.
No, it's that
We need a gesture of goodwill.
Just checking. The other thing is there a definition anywhere of severe? Under the highways part, it says development should only be refused on transport grounds where the impact is severe. Now, what I would call severe is probably different to what the government calls severe, or whoever draws these things up. Have we got a different definition of severe?
Not that I'm aware of. The county council, it would be their definition of severe that the assessment's made on, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what that definition is.
Okay, I'll do some more homework. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Lloyd?
Bear with me, Chair. It puzzles me at times, Chair, when you get people who are elected into positions who come and tell us or ask us not to build houses anymore, and they criticise, I know that they're actually criticising British now having put a plan that we're not building, we're not finding land, and then they come here, they prove that people still haven't learned anything about planning, whatever. Because if we ain't got to build any more houses, which I understand that one of the ladies who's standing didn't want us to do, can you imagine that every contractor that came in here, we turned down because we didn't want any houses, and it went to a pit, you realise they would bankrupt, they would bust this council. We cannot just stop building houses just because somebody ain't learned anything about planning and maybe they understand what they're saying and what they're doing. Because there's no way with this committee, I don't care how you look, what politics you are, we cannot stop turning people down, because if the people continues to take us to appeal, it would bust us. We haven't got the money. They don't learn anything, folks. They're never getting Parliament for help.
Sir, Chair, that's a personal remark. It should be on subject.
I suggest you take it up after the meeting, either with Councillor Lloyd or somebody else.
But it should be on subject.
Councillor,
Yes.
Thank you,
have
Chair.
you both finished, yeah?
Yeah.
Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Chair. I really want to ask a question. I mean, I appreciate where this is going, actually. I'm really not happy because of highway issues mainly, and maybe I should just mention that now. I mean, I have been, we know well, I've been knocking on the new houses, and I have to say, on every occasion I've been into those two developments, I've had to turn left. There's no way you can get across that road and turn right. But that's the highways issue. On highways, Rhiannon, the other developments, and I know it's nothing to do with this one, are being turned down by highways now, partly because the Eastborough Way is too busy, and that's what the £1,000 per house for was in this particular application for the first time. I mean, we're not going to raise that 400,000, I don't think, are we? Certainly not from this particular calendar farm development. Have highways not come back? Okay, they've come back and talked about the S106s for the joining up with the other thing shown on the map there. But have they not come back with similar objections to the ones on the Cladman and Bellway developments? No. As I say, I'm very concerned that what the residents on the Davidson site were worried about is certainly happening. You can't turn right.
No.
So.
Thank you.
Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. I do share some of the concerns of Councillor Foster. I think when it was last time, we made some comments about turning right on the long shoot. I did just have something what I said. But I do agree with Councillor Phillips that I think the NHS money we've now got cause a welcome development. It does mean a new doctor's surgery on that side of town. And again, I think that's a real strength in this development. So I do have some concerns about turning right. But I do think the money for the doctors is a great benefit of this development. So that's where I am on this one at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Is there any... Paul, do you want to turn your light on? Really broken. Any other member? No, you've not. It's been moved and seconded the recommendation which is printed, which is to grant planning permission subject to the conditions as printed and completion of a legal agreement. All those in favour of that? And against? No, I think that's everybody. Abstentions? I think that's everybody. Okay, that's approved.